No, I'm just going to jump right in and open this video up with a recent comment made by Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who is the director of the upcoming Rey movie that was announced last April at Star Wars Celebration. Anyway, what she said in relation to that movie was that, "I feel what we're about to create is something very special. We're in 2024 now, and it's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away." And to be perhaps a bit blunt, that was one of the more idiotic things that I've heard said in a while. And look, I get that she's probably excited for this opportunity, and that she probably didn't mean it quite like it sounded. I do want to try to cut her a little slack or give her some benefit of the doubt here. People don't always consider the full implications of what they say before they say it. But come on, the president of Lucasfilm for the past decade has been a woman, that of course being Kathleen Kennedy. And she has, for better or worse, certainly been shaping stories in a galaxy far, far away for quite a while now. Kennedy also once essentially bragged that over 50% of her executive team at Lucasfilm are women, which kind of then means, if you want to get into that sort of thing, but it kind of then means that women have had more power to shape Star Wars than men for about a decade now. Plus, it's also a franchise where the most recent trilogy had a female lead, and is the same character, Rey of course, who Obaid-Chinoy will be using in her upcoming film. There's also other recent Star Wars projects like the Ahsoka series that not only had a female lead, but had a pretty much predominantly female cast. And then when it comes to directors, which she is, well, Bryce Dallas Howard and Deborah Chow have directed multiple episodes of The Mandalorian, and Deborah Chow even directed the entire Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And that's to say nothing of the many, many other women who have contributed to Star Wars over the years in one way or the other, be they authors of books, actresses, or even the numerous female fans out there. In other words, and I'm not implying it was her intent, but it almost could be interpreted as both selfish and or an insult towards the numerous women who have played a major role in shaping Star Wars over the years, to kind of say or imply that you directing a film will do more or be more profound for shaping Star Wars than what others who have come before you have done, that this one thing is more important than anything done by a woman before. Which, no, isn't to say you can't celebrate this fact at all, that she will be the first woman to ever direct a Star Wars film, that it isn't or can't be noteworthy. But when it comes right down to it, the only thing that should really matter with this movie is whether or not it ends up being a good movie. And the gender of the director should, in a sense, be completely irrelevant when it comes to determining that. We should neither be more forgiving nor more critical of her work. Both would be unfair and a disservice to her as well as to male directors, assuming she would get more slack than them, or unfair to aspiring female directors, assuming she would get judged more harshly. Because to say there should be different standards for women as compared to men, higher or lower, well, it's just plain wrong. And make no mistake, her work, her Star Wars movie, will very much be judged and carefully critiqued and analyzed by many, many fans, myself included. And let's make it very clear right here and now, long before it even comes out, and assuming it's not widely praised when it does, that anyone that tries to go with this all too common excuse that the only reason some fans, or maybe a lot of fans, don't like it is because it's a woman directing it, does not hold up to scrutiny. I mean, we're talking about a franchise where even the creator, where even George Lucas himself has been at times judged rather harshly by a great many fans, mainly for things like the prequels, where some even said things like he ruined their childhood, or said things even worse about what he did to their childhood that I won't repeat here in this video, but you've probably heard it said before. There's also then Rian Johnson, director of The Last Jedi, whose movie was not exactly enjoyed by all fans, and has been picked apart and bashed by many over the last several years, to say nothing of all the mean things that have been said about or to Johnson himself. And some have been, pretty much downright despicable to say to another person, no matter what you feel about them personally or about the movie they made. There's also been male characters and actors in Star Wars, like Anakin Skywalker, played by Hayden Christensen, that have been the target of fan hate as well. But, oddly enough, never once have I heard anyone, literally anyone, claim any of that was because they're men. Yet pretty much the default reaction or position to take when a woman takes any sort of criticism from fans, be that a character, actor, writer, director, or whatever it might be, Well, the default is to say that men can't stand women being a part of Star Wars. Even though there have been plenty of women in Star Wars before that haven't received an ounce of hate and are celebrated and loved by virtually every single fan. And so, quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of hearing these excuses, which isn't to say that not a single man in the world or in the fandom isn't more harsh towards women than they'd be towards a man, but in all reality, most men don't care. They really don't care. I mean, have you ever heard a man say he liked a movie, then after being told that it was directed by a woman, he changed his mind about it? Hell, people just love to point out how Kathleen Kennedy was a producer on so many of these movies over the years that everyone has enjoyed or loved even. They try to make this point that she was this great producer that shaped the childhood of so many. And even though, no, a lot of people probably didn't know just how many movies that they've enjoyed over those years that she was associated with, but learning that she was associated with them hasn't changed their minds about the movie. Furthermore, if George Lucas had, say, appointed a man to be president of Lucasfilm before he sold to Disney, and if all else had been the same or equal, if everything had more or less still transpired the same way it did, do you honestly think there wouldn't be just as many fans not liking him right now that don't like Kennedy? You think male fans would have cut him more slack, keeping in mind what I was just talking about before with George Lucas himself getting plenty of hate from fans? I don't know, to me, again, looking at what Charmine Obaid-Chinoy said here, to me it seems like her being a woman and doing this, making a Star Wars movie or directing a Star Wars movie, is far, far more important to her than it is in any way, I don't know, annoying to male fans out there. And I'd bet a lot of female fans basically feel the same way. Heck, my wife was actually the one who pointed this story out to me, and as a lot of you know, she's also a huge Star Wars fan. We have a whole channel where we talk Star Wars together. Anyway, she, my wife, and she'll probably bring this up and talk about it in a video in the coming days, but she was basically irritated by this. She was irritated that Obaid-Chinoy kind of had the audacity to say something like this, that it seems to downplay the work of so many other women. Not that it should even be about that in the first place. Not that we should always have to pit men versus women in every aspect of life, and then see the success of one gender as the failure of the other. It almost seems like we've completely lost sight of the greater good in favor of simply wanting our side or our own group of people to win or to be better than the rest. People don't seem to care about or are incapable of rooting for the success and advancement of humanity itself. To them, the success or prominence of their group of people is just more important. And I swear there are some who would rather see the opposite side catastrophically fail and lead the whole damn world to ruin just to be able to say they were right about them. But anyway, I'm getting off topic, and my point is simply that most fans just want good Star Wars. And when they don't get it, they're not afraid to say as much. And really, they don't care who they get it from as long as it's good. And if you want to celebrate the fact that she will be the first female director of a Star Wars film, go ahead and celebrate it. It's fine. Like I said, it's noteworthy, sure. But you don't just get the upside. It also comes with the fact that, for better or worse, right or wrong, like I said, a lot of fans will be open, honest, and blunt about how they feel about Star Wars content. And if this movie ends up bad, it's not going to be just because a woman did it and they're just judging it unfairly because of that. It would be because it's bad. Though yes, I will acknowledge that there are those out there who are going to have something against it going into it, or who are just never going to watch it in the first place because they didn't like what the sequels were, which were films written and directed by a couple of men. Because again, the fans don't care who does it, they just care about the quality. And certainly Abrams and Johnson were not spared the wrath of angry fans for what they created, so don't expect it to be any different with the Rey movie brought to us by Charmine Obaid-Chinoy. Well, that's going to be all I got for this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think about Charmine Obaid-Chinoy's comments here. Were they bad? Were they not so bad? Or maybe do you think she didn't quite mean what they sounded like? Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.